welcome to Jurassic Park 3 Minutes, where we'll be discussing the second Jurassic Park sequel 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And back again to end out the week is our... I've got to really work on these introductions.
I was like, wait.
I was going to say our Jurassic friend, but I thought, no, that sounds too corny. Welcome back, J Jurassic, to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? Glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you.
One thing we didn't discuss last episode with you coming back is your history with Jurassic Park 3. I can't recall if you sort of mentioned it when you were on for the Lost World Minute and you said you wanted to come on for the show, but Jurassic Park 3, were you old enough to see it in cinemas, or did it come out, you just visit it later on in life?
Oh, no, I saw it in cinemas.
Yeah. So you were there.
What? Say again, sorry?
You were there when it happened.
Oh, I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it. Basically, I was very excited for Jurassic Park 3. I remember it was around the time my grandmother used to go to this one doctor around that time, and I used to go with her for this procedure she had to get done. So there would be a TV there, and they were showing a lot of Walking with Dinosaurs and mixing it with Jurassic Park 3 cast, like they were announcing the movie coming out soon. And it was a whole week of getting you ready for Jurassic Park 3. And I used to go with her to this one place, and before knowing that I had to go there next week and I knew that show was going to be on, I had asked the staff there, do you guys have Discovery Channel? Because I wanted to see it. Even though I had seen Walking with Dinosaurs, I can't tell you how many times, which is sad. I don't own it. I have no idea why I don't own it, but
I have it on VHS.
Yes, man.
I need to own this because I love that series. I love all of the ones, even the other ones with that Nigel guy.
I remember going to my aunt's house because she had cable and I didn't. So I would go to her house every weekend to see it.
Right? Oh, man, it's such a great series. And so they were doing a special where the entire week they were showing the series in half-hour episodes or an hour episode. It would be, the story of the Tyrannosaur, the story of the Apatosaurus, or I think it was Diplodocus. Might have been Diplodocus. Yeah, it was, and so on. And in those little episodic parts of the whole series as a whole, they would have the cast from Jurassic Park 3. They had William H. Macy, they had Sam Neill, they had Tia Leone, and I think they had the kid at one point, the kid that plays, I don't know his real name, the actor. They had him on there, and they would all present you with dinosaur facts and behind the scenes moments of Jurassic Park 3, stuff that's coming up for the new movie. They had a good propaganda going on to get you a lot of advertising and whatnot for this Jurassic Park 3, and it had me pumped. I was really excited to see it. And I remember it was a school day, but I didn't go. I actually told my mom I'm not going. I was either leaving middle school, going into high school, or it was my first year of high school, or something like that. I'm pretty sure. Wait, did it come out in July?
I thought so. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
July release.
Then I was in summer school. Because I know I was in school. I know I was in school because I didn't go to school that day. So I said I wasn't going. Yeah, it was summer school I was in, and I didn't go. And I went to the theater. I got myself all everything that I went in there with a lot of money to get a lot of stuff from the concession stand. I got popcorn, I had the candies, I had the big gulp, I'm going in there loaded, ready to see this movie, excited. There wasn't much people. I remember that. It was me and like I don't know, like 20 people. The thing wasn't full. There was not much people at that showing. It was the first one of the morning of the next day. You know how they sometimes they show you like that first showing on Thursday night. I don't think they did that back then. Back then, I don't think they did it. They do that now. But back then, the first showing was...
They did midnight showings, but not, like, night before showings.
Yeah, see, like, and I don't think they did for much movies. I think they did for, like, a few, right? Not every movie, like... Alright, so, like, I went... It was, I think it was a Friday. It might have been a Friday, right? Or was it... Why am I thinking Wednesday for some reason? Might have been Wednesday.
Unless I think it was a screening or something.
It's fuzzy, such a long time ago. But what I do remember is that I sat there, I'm watching the movie, glad to see Grant back and everything, and then a certain scene that comes up in this movie that it's going to come up in the next couple minutes that we talk earlier on, just took me out of the movie completely. I remember leaving that first screening not knowing what happened to the rest of the movie.
I remember having a similar, actually the exact same experience. I remember the aviary, and that was it. It was that scene, and then just the aviary, and everything else was a blur.
I believe the medical term for that is a blind rage.
Oh, it was, man. It was awful. And then I went to see it again to actually see the movie, and then I saw it or whatever. But like, it was kind of a struggle for me to go back. But it was heartbreaking to me because I remember at the same time Planet of the Apes was coming out, the Tim Burton one, and I wanted Jurassic Park to succeed so badly, even though I knew I didn't like the film. I just didn't, but I didn't want it to die out because it was like the third film, and after a third film, there really is not much. The toys weren't that great. Like, a lot of stuff was kind of like, this is not like Lost World, you know? I'm starting to see kind of the franchise I love a little kind of diminishing. Like, it's being treated as a straight to home video type of situation almost, I felt, you know? Like, maybe that's what's going to happen with Jurassic Park 4. I don't want that. So Planet of the Apes came out, just like it took over. And I remember like Jurassic Park 3 came out, and like a week later Planet of the Apes did, or like maybe 2 weeks later. Because I remember walking through a ShopRite. This is how crazy this like time was. That I remember specifically walking through a ShopRite, which is like a grocery store chain in the northeast, right? All my fellow Jerseyans know what ShopRite is, you know, and like walking through the aisle, and I blatantly heard some people talking about, hey, have you seen the new Planet of the Apes? And I remember I turned around, have you guys seen Jurassic Park 3? And they were like, no, we really. I'm like, you better go see it, man. It's better than Planet of the Apes. But in my heart. In my heart, I knew it wasn't. Even though I didn't like Planet of the Apes either. That one with
Helena Bonham Carter, Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. I did not like that one. Anyway, still though, I was like, Jurassic Park is better. Let's go see it. Oh man, but it was. I knew instantly it wasn't my favorite. You know. Yeah. It was disappointing to me. I mean, I know a lot of the newer generation loves this movie, and a lot of people that probably hear this podcast are probably going to be like, well, Jay Jurassic, he's not great. But it's just how it is, you know? It just didn't... And it's not just because of one scene. The movie as a whole, for me, wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. There's certain moments in the film, and as the minutes go on, you guys will hear those moments, those minutes, and some of them are great, you know. But I don't really want to discuss them all in this minute because we have minutes ahead to discuss those, you know.
Especially the one you dislike the most.
Oh my, yeah.
That's next week.
All right, yeah. When we get to that one. I'll let you know how many times I actually seen that scene. Let's say you can count them on your hand.
And that's I've said before. It's nostalgia plays a lot into it as well. Which film you're seeing first in the cinema? It's like a lot of young generation now saying Jurassic World's the best. It's just that infuriates me even more. But that's one of the things. So like I've always said, I prefer Lost World over the other films, and that's my nostalgia playing there. I know it's got some big issues, and Jurassic Park's got some big issues too, and we've mentioned some of them previously. But yeah,
it has a lot to do with it, and it's just certain things, certain aspects they go into the film with, and they change up and they move around. You know, you guys already have discussed this minute. The first time you realize Grant and Ellie aren't together, something like that. When you grow up with Jurassic Park, then you go into Lost World, you don't know what's going on with Grant, and you don't know what's going on with Ellie. So the whole time while you're watching Lost World, at least in my mind as a kid, I'm thinking, well, I know Grant and Ellie are doing great, and then you see Jurassic Park 3, like, wow, I was wrong, So it's things like that I guess the nostalgia and like the want of like thoughts you had as a child with Jurassic Park and Lost World, and then they're completely changed by the next installment in the series, which you probably feel, Brad, with Jurassic World. You're not too fond of that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand. See, it's definitely put legs back into the franchise and that, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit there and be the internet troll and the fandom start causing stuff like you get in other fandoms and that Star Wars. But
oh yeah.
But yeah, and it's like I remember talking to Kyle and Brady on Jurassic Park Minute when they were running that, and just with the deleted scene of Alan and Ellie embracing each other at the dig site, there's not really... I never seen them as a couple at all in that film. And that's why when it come to... like, there's all this hate because they're not together, and that's why I was always wondering why would they be together? Yes, they went through a life and death experience, but...
And that's the funny thing. Like, see, I came out of that film thinking completely the opposite. You know what I mean? I kept thinking, it's just how you view it, So my viewing of this film doesn't mean the view of somebody else that loves this film means that their view is wrong. And that's that's what happens when you critique a certain film and people start thinking like, well, what are you saying, that my view is wrong? No, yours is wrong. No, it's how you view the film,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can crack jokes. We crack jokes. We laugh about these things and whatnot. How Jurassic Park 3 but at the end of the day, it's the film that you love, and you love it, fine. You know what I mean? It's okay, we talked in the last minutes how I'm not the biggest fan of Fallen Kingdom, but then there's others that I know that really loved it, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah, not well said.
I have a theory that there are two kinds of boys. There are those that want to be astronomers and those that want to be astronauts. The astronomer, the paleontologist, gets to study these amazing things from a place of complete safety.
But then you never get to go into space.
Exactly. It's the difference between imagining and seeing, be able to touch them. That's all that Billy wanted.
Shall we get into minute 25 and discuss some more of this film we love so much?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Alright.
As we entered minute 24 of Jurassic Park 3, the crashed plane had fallen from the tree on the ground, and the spinosaur had been kicking and rolling it around, with the survivors inside being tossed and turned and thrown about. Its big foot pushes down the fuselage. Inside, the chairs collapse inwards, the windows blow out, and their hiding space suddenly becomes a lot smaller. At the 14-second mark, frustrated because it can't get to its prey, the spinosaur buries its nose through the side of the fuselage and tries to snap at the humans inside. At the 34-second mark, while the spinosaur's head's buried into the fuselage, Grant yells, "Follow me," and they all start running from the plane into the forest behind the spinosaur, behind the big predator. The Spinosaur, realising its prey is no longer in the plane, turns and roars, and then gives chase. At the 41-second mark, Grant and the survivors emerge in a grassy clearing and run towards a dense patch of trees off to their right. The Spinosaur breaks through the foliage behind and gives chase. At the 52-second mark, we see the Spinosaur try and get between two large trees, but is stuck and can't follow its prey. And as the minute ends, the survivors run through some thick ferns into a small clearing.
As we end the last minute, the Spinosaur is rolling the fuselage all over the place and tossing everyone about inside, and much like a washing machine, as we open here on 25, the Spinosaur's left foot comes down on the fuselage and steps down on it, buckling the whole sort of structure under its weight, and inside we can see the floor of the plane collapse and the seats sort of pushing down towards the survivors on the floor of the plane. We mentioned last minute how sort of it's the real actors in there for the most part doing a lot of these stunts and getting beaten up.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check out the behind the scenes. I might link one to the Facebook group that goes through sort of them doing this. Had the wires inside to pull the roof in, the windows to blow out, and all the setup they had in this fuselage section. But then the Spinosaur kicks the fuselage again and it goes rolling, and it sort of rolls over the side and the windows face up so the Spinosaur can now see inside the plane. And then it plunges its snout inside through one of the walls. And so this is all the animatronic here too, which you sort of think about how much of the T-Rex breakout or the trailer sequence, which is animatronic versus CG.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the most part, most of this here is just the animatronic doing its work, whether it's the foot or the I know they had a set of arms to sit on the fuselage, but I think it's actually the CG that's rolling the plane.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Which I always kind of thought was a somewhat awkward shot. I personally thought that the animatronic probably would have actually been better if they used that instead of the CG arms.
Well, they might have tried it and they couldn't get it to roll the plane the way they liked. It might have looked too animatronic, as we've criticised before.
You can kind of notice blatantly when the Spinosaurus is the animatronic and the CG sometimes. I don't know, I feel. It's the Raptors that confuse me. The Raptors, the CG, and the animatronics are done so well. But the Spinosaur, like, I don't know, it's like different skin textures. When you see like the arms or the leg or whatnot, and then you see the actual Spinosaur animatronic, it differs a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't really discuss the budget either when we started the film. Like $94 million for this. The film sort of went up that 10, or we went up about 15 million more here between Lost World and this one. Most of that would probably be inflation, but I can't recall how many effect shots are actually in the film, but I don't think there'd be anywhere near as many as the other two films anyway. Like runtime would probably affect that a bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to it in a minute. There seems to be a size when it goes between the animatronic and the CG model. It seems to jump in size a bit. Like the CG model looks a lot bigger.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. There's I don't know, are we in that minute where it's running out in the woods?
Yeah, that's at the end of this minute.
Okay. Yeah, alright.
We'll get there in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it plunges its beak its snout into the plane, and it's sort of weird here. We get a lot of different cuts, different shots of them inside the plane and the animatronics sort of fishing around. We get some of them moving from the back of the plane to the front, and as it pulls its head in and out. It's sort of a lot of fast cuts here to try and build the tension a little bit, and as we said before, probably trying to hide the fact that it's the animatronic for most of it, and it's just swinging its head back and forwards with its snout in the hole with the plane. But Grant sort of gets out of the front of the plane, yells, "Follow me," and then this way as he runs from the plane with the others following close behind. And the Spinosaur realises the people are no longer inside and turns and roars before giving chase. And this is where we cut to the sort of dark open clearing as the group runs from the tree line. And it's sort of weird how before at the airport or at the runway how it was sunny, bright sunny day, and now we've sort of it's looks to be really overcast, as if it's just rain because there's that fog in the trees in the background.
Yeah, Jurassic World Part 3 is one of those weird movies where I feel like they kind of... I'm not sure if the contrast is way low, and so everything is kind of just given this foggy, kind of dark look to it.
Well, even before, when they were in the in that sort of the set jungle with the plane crash, you still saw, you could clearly, you could see that it's sort of the sun's streaking down through the canopy wherever it could. This just feels like it's either a pickup shot or something they've done. Hey, we need, like a lot of it in this film, where they've got main scenes and just need something to go from scene to scene. Hey, we need you to run through this field and pretend you're getting chased by something, and we can fit it into the film later.
Very well could have been, actually. But I think that we get a shot right before it gets to this clearing, and it's the shot of the Spinosaurus kind of turning and running after them. And this is the first shot you actually get. If you look at the Spinosaurus's leg, or upper thigh, upper hip area, you can kind of see a gash there where the plane struck the Spinosaurus.
I was going to ask if we've seen that yet.
I never knew that.
Yeah, most of the time we see it, it's from the right-hand side, from the other side, not the side that it got hit by the plane. But yeah, as we mentioned before, it sort of charges out into the clearing after him, and it's almost as big as the trees. The CG model is. And I think it's the same too when it sort of busts through the fence and that later on. It's a CG one there too. It's sort of it's as big as the fence.
Interesting thing about that, because in the Delgado concept sketches, they show them like the sail up there with the treetops, and we see them running into we actually see where the way he sketched it, we would see the Spinosaurus chasing them through the jungle and then out into the grassy plain, and then into there's a section of fallen logs here, and behind that elephant grass that they run into, and the elephant grass kind of runs along the trees, and that's where they eventually meet the T-Rex.
I wonder if we could have got a reuse or like a return to the when they're up in the high height and you see the trees moving with the two Tyrannosaurs approaching the trailers. But a daytime shot here of just up above the jungle and you see the trees move as it's running and just a sail periodically sort of appearing between some of the lower trees. As it's sort of, because I know in the we'll get to it in a minute in the script and the novel, it's sort of definitely described a lot more as it's knocking over trees and the trees are falling around Grant and that as it's running, as it's trying to catch up to them and get them.
Yeah, that's what it shows here in the storyboards as well. I'll post these storyboards up for the fans, of course, when this minute goes live.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see. But out in the clearing, we get Grant sort of change direction and point and says here, and obviously there's a thicker stand of trees that he can see, and that's addressed in the script as well. And needing to slow the Spinosaur down, finding something thick that it can't burst through.
Oh, it's described as a thicket of fallen trees here in the storyboard sketch.
Yep.
But it's actually more of a just one large tree that the Spinosaurus kind of rams itself into in the final movie.
Yeah. But yeah, well that's it. They run into, I think it's described as a grove of trees, a thick grove of trees in the script, but they all run in through the trees, and we get that shot of the Spinosaurus sort of put its head between the two trees or the logs and can't get past, and sort of gives that roar and defeat, and we think that's the end of it. But the group don't stop running, and as the minute ends, we sort of get that POV shot of them running through that elephant grass and that, which we've seen in the teaser trailer of that camera sort of moving.
That's the teaser trailer shot. I'm going to ask Jay his opinion of something here. What is your opinion of the CGI of the Spinosaurus as it's kind of jammed itself in the trees there? I always thought it was like one of the worst shots in the movie. Or at least one of the worst CGI shots. What do you think?
The one where it's kind of where they run into the other part of the forest and it's kind of like roaring after him, but it's like stuck and it's like damn it, I can't get through. That shot.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I don't remember it being a shot where it affected me, so I don't. Maybe I didn't pay attention to it. I don't know, but I would have to see it again to give you an opinion on it. I don't want to give one without knowing.
I
Sure.
have a worse shot coming up, and it involves the Tyrannosaurus.
Oh God.
Yeah, well, not the Tyrannosaur itself, just the way it interacts with its environment. But we'll get to that next minute.
The entrance.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Video
That's
game.
alright. We'll get there next minute.
I have some thoughts about the changing of colors, so we'll talk about it.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. That's all of those.
Yeah, that's stand by for next minute. It's going to get rough. But briefly looking into the novel and script comparisons, again, not much different from the script. Billy's helping out a lot more, as it's described as he loves the adrenaline rush, which, if you're jumping off cliffs in New Zealand, and you're probably going to love the elevated heart rate, where I would not. As they run from the plane, sort of, Billy can't help but stop and look back at the massive Spinosaur as it sort of roars and still playing around with the plane, and Grant actually has to run back and yank him out of it and pull him out of his gaze. The escape's shown a little bit different too. Grant leads while Udesky brings up the rear, and the Spinosaur's sort of mowing over young trees as they fall around him. Again, just crashing through the underbrush and that, trying to give chase. In the novel, there's a bit more from Billy as he stops to look at the animal. It's described as having a dark, horrible shape and a strange mix of features that few dinosaurs possess, so maybe alluding to the fact that it's not a real Spinosaur, it's sort of a bit of a hybrid, or an experiment anyway. But given there's not really much, like, I know that there's not a lot of, most of the skeletons yet to be discovered as well, so maybe that's why he's not really recognising what the animal actually is, and we get that a bit later where he's trying to suggest it's a baryonyx.
That's true. We really do have to consider that Jurassic Park 3 kind of took a gamble here with making it have the snout there. At the time it was made, it was really kind of a toss-up between the long snout and that normal kind of carnosaur typical snout that we see.
Yeah, and we haven't really touched either on the on like the Spinosaur itself. We did briefly go into sort of how it was going to be the baryonyx, and even some of that early logos and that had the baryonyx there instead of the Spinosaur, and maybe just carrying that design concept over and calling it the Spinosaur and making it a lot larger.
I remember seeing the baryonyx on the logo. I was in school and I used to stay. I was in middle school, and this is when they were doing when it was announced that there was going to be a JP3, and I used to stay after school in the computer class, and I would, because I didn't have a computer then, I didn't own a computer, so I would stay after school and search the web for Jurassic Park information, and I used to print out a bunch of stuff. My teacher would be like, "Oh my God, why are you printing so much papers?" And it would just be logos and stories and what. And I would be on Dan's JP3 page, and all those pages back in the day were in GenNet and all that. And I'd just print stuff out. Oh yeah, dude, that's all old school websites that had all Jurassic Park information. Longtime fans know. Yeah.
And I'd be searching through Ask Jeeves. Cool.
Yeah, and then I found the logo and I was like, oh, that's that crocodile and snout. Baryonyx happens to be one of my favorite spinosaurids. Spinosaurus really isn't, and Suchomimus either, but Baryonyx just, I don't know, they're just, I feel it's because there's this old book, it's those eyewitness science books. Do you know which ones I'm talking about? Yeah, well, there's one from early 90s that my mom got me as a gift, and it was for her birthday or whatever, and it's Eyewitness Dinosaurs, and it has these beautiful dinosaur sculptures in there where it shows their insides, shows the fossils, and there's a sculpture of a dead baryonyx, and it just fascinated me as a kid that there was this dinosaur that had like a crocodilian snout but had like long legs and like arms like a regular dinosaur, you know? And I just fell in love with that particular Spinosaurid, you know? So when they had it in the logo, I was like, cool, man, they're gonna have a baryonyx. And then later on they changed it to